Yeah, we are getting her going here on Three Guys Talking About podcast. We have reached episode 91 here. We are 9 episodes shy of 100, which I don't know what we're going to do once we get into the hundreds episodes. I don't know if we start over with and go through, or we just say, you know what, screw it. People are still listening anyways. They don't care who it is. But
I'd say
91.
I say start over. Sorry to interrupt. I'd be like, hey, this is episode 101, but then you tail back to number 1, and then try to remember who you used last time and don't use that person again.
Yeah, I'm looking back here. I'm trying to think. I feel like it had to have been Braylon Edwards or Tracy McGrady, one of those two.
I mean, we could use like not to spoil things, but like a Warren Moon.
Yeah, we could do a Warren Moon
for number 1.
We could do a Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, yep. Jalen Hurts. Maybe not to that team, but
No.
Or we do Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma.
He was one from Oklahoma.
He was one.
That's right. Yeah,
he switched from 2
for
to 1.
Alabama.
Yeah. In his rookie year, he was 2 for that team in that city in the Northeast. Out of respect for you, I'm not going to mention their name.
Yeah. Who cares? They can't read or write anyways, so it's fine.
Well, they are a bunch of uneducated mouth breathers from Philadelphia, so that's okay.
Yeah. Who eat horse shit, so, it's whatever. But we
91, I'm sorry.
Yes, 91 here. And this one I bounced around, and typically, 91 you're thinking of a defensive end, a football player, but no. We are going to the court, and we're going 91. We are going Dennis Rodman episode.
That's fantastic. Let's get goofy with it.
Yep. I wish I would have thought of this sooner, but I would have told you should have dyed your hair in honor of Dennis, but you've got the Buffalo Bills hat on, so it's really really not going to work out. And you don't have much hair on the top of your head anyway, so you'd just be dyeing your skin.
And I'd look absolutely ridiculous. I already do. I would look more ridiculous if I did that.
Correct.
And I'm not trying to be part of the circus show that is today's society, mainly in the city of Minneapolis these days. So we're just gonna keep the look I got going on right now.
That is true. It's that could be like a segment of people out in the wild. And the crazy part is we think Minneapolis is wild, but I mean, you go to like a San Francisco or in LA or
New York, LA.
Even Fargo, you get some interesting people still.
Oh yeah.
Or if you really want to go get weird, is you go to Walmart in the early the 2 o'clock in the mornings, the 3 o'clock in the mornings where the tweakers are going through there trying to find whatever they're looking for, where you're gonna see them dancing. They're gonna be dressed all weird, and that's where you're gonna get some interesting looking people.
To your point, the craziest people I've ever seen in my life, it was a Walmart. It was in Florida, and it was at 9 p.m. after I helped Caleb move. Oh my God, that was just absolutely incredible. I mean, to say
that is the epitome of Florida man.
A Florida man right there. Walmart, just south of Tampa Bay, after 9 p.m. I mean, you would have thought the zoo animals were left out. Alligators got legs and they were walking as humans. 75% of the people were either on meth, they were cracked out, or they just haven't slept in 4 days. It was interesting, and they could tell I didn't belong, and I'm not sure I felt too safe. Or they thought, this dude's crazy enough to come in here after hours, and when I say after hours, when the sun is down, to Florida at a Walmart. He's got some balls on him. So I'm either stupid, or they were just amazed about how brave I was, where nobody did anything to me. But it was
what.
It was.
Well, you are. We do have an episode named Grant is a Florida man. So I mean, that just shows the levels of Florida man, and Grant is kind of low on the totem pole there for Florida man. I mean, When Florida men are looking at you, you know you're like, oh, okay, I'm maybe not that crazy. I'm actually somewhat normal.
Somewhat. And it's funny. I've always said this in my whole life, Dylan. I've lived here north of the Mason-Dixie line. Personally, I feel like I'd be better suited south of the Mason-Dixie line. Maybe not Florida crazy, but I definitely feel like I am more of a Southern United States individual. But that's just me.
I think I am too. Southern football, food, family, faith. That's the Southern values. Granted, I mean, you go to most places like the South, those Southern values are very much resemble that Midwest, the Midwest nice, the Southern hospitality. The difference is that they just got nicer weather.
That is correct.
They're the smarter ones. We're the dumbasses here that decide to live in cold weather and say, oh, we live here because family is close. I mean, realistically, like, we make fun of these Florida men all the time, but who's the idiot when we're out shoveling 12 feet of snow with a 40-mile-an-hour wind chill? As soon as you shovel, you got to shovel again because it's blown back. They're incredibly much smarter than us because they don't have to deal with the elements.
And also,
Daniel Tosh has a skit that he talks about how, like, oh, I like visiting here, but I could never live here. And because I like seasons. He's like, and Tosh, yeah, I like seasons too. That's why I live in a place that skips the shitty ones.
Well, and the problem is this, man. It's so damn expensive to live anywhere by yourself. You just can't pick up to a Ford and say, you know what, I'm going to relocate. This would be good for me, because you can't afford it. I mean, like I said, I've known 3 people in the last 18 calendar months who have moved away from either Minnesota or Iowa, and they've gone to Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida. And all 3 of these individuals and/or families are living their best life, and they aren't coming back anytime soon.
Well, 2 of the states for sure. I don't know about Oklahoma, but they don't have state income tax there.
They don't have state income tax. Tulsa is actually a really, really nice city. It's
the Paris of the Southwest.
Paris of the Southwest,
said in Tulsa King.
Mm-hmm. And Miranda lives it down there. They don't have state income tax. It's a clean city. There's not too much crime or riffraff going on. I mean, they say Tulsa's better than Oklahoma City for whatever it's worth. But yeah, they're thriving. All 3 of those individuals and/or families, I'll say, thriving now that they got out of the north.
You are correct, and we're still stuck here. But today it was a pretty windy day, but the rest of the days we got 80s, 90s. Friday we have our first varsity game, and it's supposed to be like 93 at kickoff, they were saying. So,
ooh, fun.
Yep. And that one will be that'll be a scorcher. But as the saying goes, Grant, is when it's too hot for them, it's just right for us.
Football, the tale of the seasons, Dylan. You start out, it's warm, it's muggy, humid, but then as you get towards the end of the year, the sun sets at 5 o'clock, it's cold, everyone's in layers, your sweat freezes right away. It's kind of funny. It's a tale of 2 seasons for this sport.
It truly is, especially in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. I guess Minnesota, it's the same way, but
it's the same thing.
Very rarely, I can remember like one time where we had like a nice day for playoffs, whether it would be when I was playing or now that I've been coaching. Like I think I can remember like maybe two or 3 days because
okay.
So my first year at Trinity, it was the COVID year, and I didn't even I think it was actually a nice night, and it was actually very picturesque. The snow was falling, the field was covered in snow. Got some tremendous pictures from this game. The only problem was, Grant, I wasn't able to go because at the time I was living with Cody, and he had COVID, and
Oh.
I didn't have it. And it was like kind of at that time where it was peaking.
Oh yeah, in the
And
fall.
you know, we
again.
live in a bit of a closed quartered house at the time.
Yep.
And so he didn't know that he had COVID, but you could tell he had COVID. And so we actually watched the game together because it was like he was already kind of on the backside of it. He was feeling fine.
Mhm.
And then he gets the call at about halftime of the game that he has COVID. And I kind of look at him and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Whatever.
Well,
Because it was at that point.
At that point, it's whatever.
They weren't like, because there were so many cases going on that they didn't have to they weren't like I don't even know what they were or whatever. There were so many cases that they weren't calling the people that were considered close contacts. They had the person that did it or that tested positive. They were the one that had to do all the calling.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, we're not a close contact. I don't even know you exist. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to practice that Monday. So
call it good.
Yeah. Yep.
No, it's kind of funny, Dylan. You mentioned, Taylor, 2 seasons. I remember my senior year, our first game, we played New Prague High School. It was 95. It was humid. You had to have a towel wrapped around your neck to keep you cool. It was muggy, just, gross and all. Like, I remember trying to take my pants off after that game, and it felt like they were, like, glued on to my legs.
You were like Ross when he had the rubber pants on?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I felt like I was in the bathroom.
Or the leather pants, not rubber pants.
The date was going bad. I called Joey, and he said, "Put a little baby lotion on there and get it wet. That'll slick them right off." I created an adhesive.
Yes.
But it's funny. Then later that year, we played a state quarterfinal game outside at Chanhassen High School, and that was the last game of the year that I was outside. And that game, classic fall weather. It was probably 15 degrees outside, so it's cold. And, at the time, we all dyed our hair because we were going to the state tournament. We tried to dye it blonde.
What color did you dye your hair?
So I attempted to put blonde in my hair, but my hair was so brown it turned like a red, or like it almost looked like a lion's mane, like that gold look. I'll have to ask my mom to send me a picture of what it looked like because
please do.
It was luscious. And then at one point after in the fourth quarter of the game, we were leading comfortably, and I was kind of on a knee with my helmet on the ground, and then there was smoke, coming off my hair, and one of my teammates, you could see him standing over me like at a bonfire. He was rubbing his hands together and putting them over my hair. So it was kind of funny. In a span of 2.5 months, you go from creating an adhesive to a walking furnace or a walking fireplace in the football season.
Yeah. Well, I used to do that. If any time I would sit behind Cody, he has red hair, that's what I would do is I'd use his hair to warm my hands up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so now high school football is starting, which is very exciting, and before you know it, it's going to be November. But Hard Knocks is going on.
Yes, it is.
And we episode 2 has wrapped up. We're recording this Wednesday. So episode 2 has wrapped up. You're starting to kind of see some characters that they are going to be looking to feature. I thought it got off to a good start when they had the I don't know, what do you want to call him, a mind reader?
It almost like said his name, and underneath his job title it said it was like a mentalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. Whatever it was incredible.
It was. And how he would
incredible.
guess that apparently the Jets are going to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl 31-21.
Well, hold on. You know why that's not true? Because the 49ers own Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Oh. Ooh. Yeah, well, that's true. He has yet to beat the 49ers in the playoffs. Playoffs. Well, I guess there's a first for everything, and maybe it takes
everything.
The big stage, but at this point, I don't know if the Jets have anybody that can protect Aaron Rodgers to get there. And if they do, they get to meet Joey Bosa.
And
Robert Saleh is like fed up with his offensive line. He's like,
when
he's apologizing,
Armstrong,
we're gonna get these guys right for you, man.
And it doesn't help that they had a joint practice today with Tampa Bay, and their offensive line got beat up again today.
And it's not the Tampa Bay pass rush that won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
No, it's not. No, Shaq Barrett's still there, but there's no Jason Pierre-Paul and no Ndamukong Suh. Oh, also with the 49ers, you have Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead in this bunch too, and Alshier. Yeah. Woo!
But that was the basis of it, and I watched it a little bit at a bad time. I thought this one episode was kind of a little bit slower. It wasn't the best one. No. It was still a bit of the Aaron Rodgers show. I watched it after softball last night, and I kind of had my feet up, and I was kind of dozing in and out because got home at about 9:30, done at like 10:30. It was.
Well, Dylan,
it was kind of in and out.
I got to say this, for last night's episode, it didn't help that their second day of practice with the Panthers got canceled or postponed because of heavy rain down in South Carolina. Because if they would have had another day of content there, who knows, it could have been good. You could have seen the Jets' offensive line maybe struggle again, or they could have had a redemption day. Maybe a fight would have broken out, like between the two teams. So that was kind of a bummer there too. But to your point, how it's the Aaron Rodgers show, he's clearly got the best personality on that team, and we shouldn't be surprised it's all about him. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to. After watching these 2 episodes of Hard Knocks, HBO is doing a very good job where we can almost think, Aaron Rodgers is a good dude.
He is. He absolutely is.
You never would have thought that, because if you listen to the media and his family, he's a narcissistic asshole who doesn't want anything to do with anyone. And that's clearly not true.
They have it flipped around. They have this Pat Mahomes guy, this goody two-shoes, does everything right, but
doesn't listen to his
fooling
coaches.
This guy. Yeah. You're not going to see Pat Mahomes. He doesn't have that relationship where he can just go up and joke with guys, call his coach a fat shit,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he does, but we've never seen it, so there's no evidence of it. And if Pat Mahomes did it, he was just being a bully and mean.
Correct.
Yeah.
The one thing, though, I appreciate about Pat Mahomes is this. He's given faith to all of mankind. And when I say mankind, I mean men. Because he broke the friend zone. And he's on his way to becoming a top 3 quarterback of all time in the NFL. But he broke the friend zone first. So don't stop trying, guys. It is possible.
Yes, it is true. It's just like a movie. Just fresh out of a movie, straight out of a movie is Pat Mahomes getting out of the friend zone.
Well, and also, Dylan, I saw last week for training camp, for practice too, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner both had, I think, was it quadricep injuries or something, a little soft tissue where they couldn't practice. And they were big in the first episode too. So when you're missing your 2 best rookies from last year, that kind of cuts down on the content you can throw in there.
Yeah, I think a guy that's really doing some good for him is, or a couple of are the 2 coordinators. Nathaniel Hackett seems like a tremendous dude, which is everything you've ever heard about him is how he is just a tremendous guy, tremendous coach, just a great guy to be around. And unfortunate it did not work out in Denver, but he's proud if he has another good year with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this year. I think there's a good chance he might get another opportunity. But even if he doesn't, maybe he is just a really good. Maybe he's not meant to be a head coach, and he's going to be a coordinator, and he's going to make a hell of a living doing it, because it seems like for one. You're a hell of an offensive coordinator, and I don't mean this as disrespectful to Blake Bortles, but if you get Blake Bortles to an AFC championship, because this is a pro Blake Bortles podcast, But you get Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship, and within 4 minutes of going to a Super Bowl, you're pretty damn good at your job.
Well, and also a missed call by the referees. Miles Jack stripped that ball, and he had the ball too.
He did. Correct. Yes.
But again, what did the ref call? So he was clearly down. Deion Lewis was down. Miles Jack tried to make a nice play, but he couldn't get it out in time.
He did, and that was. And then the D coordinator, he's just an intense dude.
To be a good defensive coordinator in this league, you have to be intense. You have to be nasty. You have to want to bring pressure, and frankly, you have to want to hunt dudes. Why do you think Ed Donatell's defense was an absolute disaster last year? A little too passive. We're going to stay back in this zone. We're going to try to stop people in the red zone. I think it affected the Vikings' mentality. New York, they're attacking, they're hunting, they're getting after it. And you can tell just by the energy that guy has. You know why? He's a backwards hat guy. He's not a professional.
You need those.
You need those. Especially on the defensive side of the ball. You need
not that quarterback, but you need that kind of that relentless, that I'm going to be an asshole type of switch here.
Because you look at the Jets coaching staff. Your defensive coordinator is a backwards hat guy, and your head coach is a bald guy. Bald men are the most confident men in the world, and backwards hat dudes have a relentless energy that cannot be matched. That's why you don't want to mess with the New York Jets defense. They have a backwards hat guy and a bald guy leading them. That's scary.
Yes, I am very. You don't want to get on their bad side, and I think right now too. I think they're going to really have to, once the regular season starts. I think they're going to have to rely on that defense, as the receivers, Aaron, new coaching staff tries to all get on the same page as far as play calling goes, working it in, and then Breece Hall coming back into the picture. They just signed Dalvin Cook. I think that's and like as we talked about, an abysmal offensive line. That rely on that defense, play complementary football, and eventually that's going to come.
It's funny you mentioned that, because even last night there was a play against the Panthers. The Jets tried it, didn't work, and Aaron looks at his coaching staff and he goes, well, at least we tried it now. We know that doesn't work in our game plan. Maybe we should get rid of it. But that training camp is time for that. But here's the problem. Their first 6 weeks of the year, they do not line up to where they cannot have an identity and try to figure out what they want to do. Because in their first 6 games, they have the Bills, the Chiefs, of the Broncos, which is now becoming a rivalry game with Garrett Wilson trolling Sean Payton, and then Sean Payton's comments about Nathaniel Hackett. That's low-key a game I'm kind of excited for in Week 5. And then they got the Eagles.
And the Cowboys mixed in that too. I think Week 2.
So they don't have time to mess around.
No, timeout. That game is at AT&T Stadium. Aaron Rodgers has never lost there. Just mark that as a win. The Cowboys are gonna score with like about a minute and 10 left. Then Aaron Rodgers is gonna have that smug ass grin. There's gonna be Jets fans that are gonna be like taking pictures of Cowboys fans like, lol, they think they won the game. And then Aaron Rodgers is gonna throw a back shoulder fade to Garrett Wilson, and the Cowboys are gonna lose.
Let's be honest, dude. It's gonna be Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard. It's gonna be the OG Green Bay connection that wins that game.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. They might just pull a guy off the street, and Aaron Rodgers is that arrogant and cocky, and it'll still work. They'll pull a guy from the stands like, hey, come run this for me.
That's funny. But I will say this. We mentioned how intense, and I just, how Saleh and the defensive coordinator are, and how Hackett, I think, to your point, he's not a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. Also watching that with just kind of the way Saleh is and how laid back he is and how he attacked his offensive line in a way, to me, this is going to be a player-led team. Like when they need something, if they need to fix something this year, it's going to have to be a players-only meeting, because I get how intense Saleh and the D coordinator are and Hackett are, but I'm not sure that they can rally the troops like that. So Ethan's here. So I think
Ethan's back. He's back from his suspension.
It's going to have to be. It's going to be a player-led locker room where if they need to fix something, Aaron and Quinn Williams and C.J. Mosley and Sauce, they're going to have to change the tide.
Yeah. And like we said, there's a couple of undrafted, couple unknowns like the Mike Washingtons that are getting featured, and then I can't remember the defensive end's name. Was it Sam Williams?
Well, also Will McDonald, the first-round pick. He's a hell of a football player, but he is an interesting character as well.
Was it Will McDonald that was getting his eyebrows pierced?
Yep, Will McDonald.
Yeah, okay, it was him. Okay, I couldn't remember that name. That was part of what I was saying about how I was kind of dozing in and out. I was like, guy's getting an eyebrow pierced. He's gonna be a bust. I'm out on him. Can't trust the dude that pierces their eyebrows.
You just named the episode after Dennis Rodman, and look what he did to his face and eyes and his hair.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman is the exception, not the rule.
All right.
Hey, if you have not caught on to this, Grant, I have extremely different rules for different people. Okay? Aaron Rodgers is plays by a completely different set of rules than Pat Mahomes. Okay? Now, if Pat Mahomes was like I said, if Pat Mahomes was calling coaches fat and saying things like where Aaron was giving people shit, or going up to Bryce and talking, Pat Mahomes was doing that for the camera. Aaron was doing that because he's a good dude.
How could I forget?
Yeah. I was arguing with a guy on TikTok today about how Pat Mahomes is a bad teammate, and then some guy talked about how Pat Mahomes freaked out because when Shane Bichelle made that crazy play on Saturday, and I said that's because Pat knew the cameras were on him.
Was that also the same guy who thought I was Seth Rogen's lost brother?
No, this is different social medias. Yes, we are recording with Seth Rogen's long lost brother. I about died when I read that comment.
I just wish I was half as funny as Seth Rogen.
Don't we all? Mm. You got to smoke a lot more weed to do that. So
no, it's not even weed, dude. It's probably mushrooms and acid.
It's in Minnesota now, so it's legal. So you can smoke all the weed you want.
It's probably more than just weed. It's probably shrooms and acid, and just anything and everything that makes him so funny.
If it's illegal, Seth Rogen's probably done it.
Oh God, yeah. You just hit record and you wake up the next day and you're like, "We said this. This is awesome. This is going in a movie."
That's right. But we also said we're going to preview the Johnny Manziel documentary here. Ethan was not able to isn't caught up on Hard Knocks yet, but he is back after serving a I guess episode and a half suspension of sorts.
Something like that. Yeah, that works.
Grant and Ethan have kissed and made up. Ethan, they did some weird peanut butter and the dog stuff. We don't really need to find out or know what was going on there.
Don't act like you haven't done it before.
I'm not acting like I haven't.
If I were to videotape this, I would put it on the internet and say viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah. Minimum PG-13.
We're straight up TVMA. I mean, this is some Euphoria type, just dark shit.
But did you guys get to watch your guys' teams preseason games at all? Did you guys come away with anything?
I watched not the whole game of the Vikings, but Ty Chandler's a stud. He's going to be pretty damn good. Our linebacker, that undrafted rookie, he was wearing the mic all night, which is
Ivan Pace.
Ivan Pace or something. Yeah. He was wearing the mic all night, playing Mike linebacker. So he's impressive. Whether he's going to start or not, I have no idea. But he was an absolute heat-seeking missile out there. So those are my two biggest takeaways. So I don't know why we really had Kareem Hunt actually come and visit last week, but was it Monday? I don't even remember. But yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think Madison.
What did you think of Jordan Addison? I know he took a shot right over. That
was a no catch. That was 100% a catch.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was a great catch.
Yeah, ridiculous. Like, he's gonna be a stud.
And we found out he has speed too.
Yes.
But unlike Henry Ruggs, his speed don't kill.
Not yet, no. Oh, jeez.
He didn't make contact with anyone. He's fine. It wasn't a block. It wasn't a charge. We don't need to decipher.
Hey, his dog was hurt. He had to get the dog to the vet. What can I say?
Yeah. Dog.
Yeah.
Apparently, did you guys see? Apparently, O.J. Simpson weighed in on the on Henry Ruggs'
Dude, I'm all for
sentence.
it. Dude, I'm
sure this wasn't an intelligent statement.
And I didn't hear the whole statement, but I guess the gist of it was saying that he didn't get sentenced long enough, which O.J. Simpson of all people weighing in on if somebody should be how somebody should be sentenced to prison for murder. Yeah, I
mean, he's not wrong, but it's probably coming out of the wrong mouth.
Yeah, maybe that's just the CTE speaking.
It could be.
Or it's just the CTE /
psychopath.
The psychopath speaking, the sociopath, yeah. One of the three. Probably a combination of all three.
Yeah. Probably. But we had that, and now Grant, you didn't get to watch the Manziel documentary because you don't want to get your own Netflix account. You can't be. Do
you blame a guy? You keep adding all that stuff up. It's expensive.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I don't need my own Netflix account. In this whole calendar year, what Netflix originals have I watched? I've watched Full Swing, and I've watched Quarterback. Besides that, it'd be just a waste of an app. And you know me, I'm not much of a streaming guy, or I need to watch a show or old things like that. I mean, if it wasn't for football, I'd have no Amazon. Paramount, I don't even think my parents or family has one. I just use Alex. And HBO Max, I only use that because my sister complained for it and she's getting for it. So, I just don't need it.
I just wanted to give you a hard time.
Oh, that's fair.
He used reason and logic to respond. Wow.
I know. What an idiot.
God.
Loser.
I don't have words.
Doesn't Alec doesn't have a Netflix account?
Well, his dad does, but we've been using But here's the thing: the funny part is we've been using the login for me. And since my mom shared the password, said I'm traveling so often now, Netflix is like, you've used all your temporary access cards. So it's like, I've given up. I don't care.
What the heck? Because I know it happened to mine once, and then my mom sent me a code. And I haven't had any issues with it now. But now that I say that, and I probably go try to log on to Netflix tonight or something, what'll happen is that like since they're listening in on this, that I'm gonna have to get a new code again.
Well, and here's the thing, like I said, once you share that code so many times, it straight up tells you can't use the code anymore. But it's not like I need to watch it anyway. There's a writer strike, so they're not making anything new.
This is correct. I wonder if it's also because you guys are in different cities. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Could be.
But like we use Hannah's parents, and they live in Dundas, and we've had no issues.
So I think it just straight up comes down to, my mom shared it so many times.
Netflix hates you.
Netflix hates us.
Yeah, I think it's just random.
Or they just look at it and they're like, this specific TV where I live has not logged into Netflix more than 10 times in this calendar year. We're going to screw them because he doesn't watch our stuff.
Or they're just like, fuck this guy.
That too. Probably a combination of both.
Yeah. Netflix hates you. It's that simple.
Yeah. Netflix hates me. I don't know what I did to Netflix. Probably because I don't watch any of their shit. That's what it is.
You know what you should do? You should create a class action lawsuit saying you and your parents split the bill and get millions.
Oh, dude, that could win. I'll never have to work a day in my life again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when I get this money, I'm keeping it all. I'm telling my parents to fuck off. Sorry.
Absolutely.
This is my money.
Yeah.
Grant Oher coming in hot.
Yeah.
You don't have an issue with your mom that's a crackhead that didn't tell you she loved you, or your dad that was never around. But let's sue the family that fed me, gave me a room, gave me clothes, paid for a tutor to live in Ole Miss with me, got my grades good enough to go to Ole Miss. Let's sue them.
And probably also because he ran out of NFL money and pissed it away on stupid stuff, and he needs more cash.
Well, he has a new book coming out, so he needs a way to promote it.
There we go. We figured it out.
And apparently, I guess I went back and watched a couple of clips of the movie, and it's Hollywood, so you're not going to get a fully 100% accurate portrayal because it's Hollywood. They're going to do what they're going to do, but they talk about they never adopted him. They just became his legal guardians because the Tuohys wanted him to still have a relationship with his mom.
Oh yeah.
And I guess in his first book he talked about how they didn't adopt him because there was something funky with it, and the Tuohys they sold their company for whatever company because they owned a bunch of chain restaurants. They sold their company for like
Taco Bell and Long John Silver.
Yeah, for like $200 million. So it's not like they were hurting for money either. And it could be. That's exactly what it is he ran out of money and he's trying to promote his new book.
And Dylan, just like what you said, he's hoping nobody fact checks him, and everyone is just so impulsive. And they're acting
which is exactly what journalism is nowadays. That
exactly because he knows if people did their research, and actually paid attention to what actually happened, this would go nowhere. Good job for you.
And with that, we'll actually get into another documentary, the Johnny Manziel documentary, which was insane. It was crazy, and I actually had a Money Manziel shirt, but I did not have time, and my closet is a mess, so I didn't have time to dig through, try to find it, or I was going to wear it today.
Or is that just an excuse to say that it doesn't fit anymore?
No, I'm pretty sure it still fits.
I had to ask.
It might not be as loose fitting, but it still would fit.
Because there's a lot of people we went to college and high school where you look at them nowadays and you're like, wow.
Guilty. But
that's all I'm gonna say. But wow.
But he had the motto, win or lose, we still booze. And they boozed. He talks about how there was the pictures of him in a Scooby-Doo costume, and when they were in their walkthrough, he was sweating profusely, and like the coaches were questioning if he was going to be able to play. And Cliff Kingsbury looks over at him and he said, "You better play good tomorrow," and goes and has one of his best games of all time, or one of the best games of his career.
That was before the Mississippi State one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that his freshman year?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
But he talks about signing autographs where he would fly down to Miami once a month, go sign a bunch of autographs, and then they take a picture. The guy that he was signing the autographs for would give him the code to the safe in the hotel room, and there'd be like just 30 grand sitting in there.
Like, I had two big takeaways from this. One, everything that was said, none of it really surprised me. No. It was all very believable based off of like the minimal information we had just clips from here and there. And the second one, the NCAA needs new lawyers. The fact that they never found anything on him during their investigation, and all they did was make up a lie about where his family's wealth came from, and like they literally bought it without digging whatsoever. How much time and just holy shit, he'd been so screwed. He never would have been in the NFL. Not that he probably deserved it, but they did nothing. Like, I don't know what investigation they did, but it sure wasn't. They literally just, and it was done.
It was. They put it all in cash, and then they gave it to Johnny's grandpa. And hey, Grandpa, can you write a check for me so this can go into my account?
I mean, dude, that is the easiest. That should be the easiest thing for investigators to crack.
Well, then they're wondering how he gets all these private jets. Oh, we come from oil money.
Yeah.
His parents did not have oil money. None of his family did.
No, his I looked this up online. It was his like great grandpa came from like was on the ground floor of one of the companies, but his parents were actually like were kind of worked their way up. So, like it's not like his parents were poor or anything like that.
No.
They still did very well for themselves. But like when they got married and they had their and when they met and got married, they were bartenders, and then his dad got in on owned like a construction company or something like that, and worked his way up to successful. But yeah, they basically convinced them that their family was like on the ground floor and were the ones that drilled oil on land and built it into a huge oil company of whatever it was, which wasn't the case at all.
No.
And his best friend Nate Fitch at the time was basically his agent, and he was the one that was organizing all of it, and they would split it 80-20.
And he was the one that came up with the whole plan to kind of get away from the NCAA. Like, just nuts. Then you get to the NFL. The NFL part might be even crazier than what his college was. His college was
That's exactly what I thought too, Ethan, was that like when they like the college high school or like that was when he talked about how it was like I was getting all this money, and this is where it turns sad is that Johnny Football, he talks about it in like one of the first scenes is talking about how he wanted to be Johnny Football all the time because Johnny Football never had a bad day, and it was in a sense his alter ego, and he just kept feeding that. He forgot about being just Johnny Manziel, and that was where it was like he wanted that fame, he wanted the money, and when he got it all, it just got to be like, okay, this is it. This is all it is. And that was when he got into the deep depression and got into drugs. And, I'm sure, Grant, you saw the reports about him talking about how he attempted suicide. And he talks a little bit about it. And he's just said that when he got cut from the Browns, and at that time he kind of cut off, like he didn't have a relationship with his family. And, they were saying like, you're doing this all on purpose for a reason. And he was, and then he didn't know what it meant, but everybody was just kind of like, we gotta just let him go. Like, this is not good. And Johnny just kind of gave him the double middle fingers. Like, okay, you guys thought I was an asshole now. Like, I just won the Heisman. I have all this cash, Why do I have to go to practice? Why do I have to do all this studying? And, he talked about, and, he said, okay, you guys thought I was an asshole. You're really going to see me go full asshole. And that was when he said he went on a $5 million bender and eventually said that once I burned through it all, he was just going to take his life. And he said he got to that point and he bought a gun that was going to do it. And when he was getting ready to do it, he said just for some reason, doesn't know why, I guess the gun just clicked. And he's still with us, and then he showed up at his parents' door. He's like, I have nowhere to go.
What led to him being cut, Grant, the night before the game, like not even Saturday, like not a Saturday morning, like literally Saturday night, he flew across the country, went to Vegas, just absolutely went hard, missed the last flight back to where the game was being played.
Oh,
and at that point he said, fuck it.
To Cleveland.
Yeah, it was Cleveland. Yeah. He said, fuck it. And he just stayed out there and he didn't even tell the team he wasn't coming.
Yeah. And he was
shit.
At the time, he was hurt. He was in concussion protocol, and he was supposed to go to the facility Sunday morning as like a routine procedural checkup, which is the protocol, and he missed it. and because he was out partying in Vegas in a blonde wig and glasses. That story is 100% confirmed true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He had a mustache and a wig.
I really never liked Johnny Football. I always thought he was an arrogant douchebag. And some of these stories just kind of sounds like that confirms that.
The day before he was supposed to be drug tested at the combine, he smoked
the week before.
ton of weed. A week before, he smoked a shit ton of weed. He'd been clean, like the whole process.
Mhm.
Then he just broke, smoked a shit ton of weed, and his agent wanted his dad to fake a heart attack that morning and go to the hospital. So Manziel had to leave the combine and
So
wouldn't have to drug test.
Jesus Christ.
So prior to the combine, he was, like Ethan said, he was completely clean. He was going good. And then one day, like the week before, said he woke up at a house in Las Vegas, has no idea how he got there, doesn't remember anything that happened, just woke up. He's like, I don't know if I can pass a drug test. And I guess when they get to the combine, they're in the hotel room. There was like 5 or 6 like NFL executives that were in there. They're holding like bottles of gallons of water, Pedialyte, and Johnny starts going. He's peeing. He's chugging these liquids to kind of dilute the samples, which is why I think they implemented that, where like if you're past like a certain color that your sample is, you can't get an accurate reading, so it's thrown out and you have to come back later and take it. And they're just chugging water. They take one, and then it's pretty light. The next one, it's like extremely light. He's like, oh, we are good. We're good to go. We're ready to roll. And he crushes the interviews, has a great combine, and then steam actually starts picking up. And the Texans were essentially like locked in that they were going to take him. He goes down to Houston for a visit with the Texans, crushes that, and then he's on a golf course that the owners of the Texans also own. And I guess by the 5th hole, he had his shirt off. He was snapping golf clubs over his knee and throwing them into a pond.
Jesus Christ.
And then it gets crazier. Is he had a private workout with the Browns in College Station. And they go to dinner the night before. I guess the dinner, he crushes the dinner, everything. And then that morning, his agent like scrambling, trying to find him, looking for him. They get up to the hotel room. One of the receivers is missing. The other one is too drunk to go. And Johnny goes there. He's there. And they're trying to get these receivers there. And his lawyer and agent go and throw is who he's throwing to. And I guess the one of the media guys, they asked Johnny how it went. He's like, "Oh man, I crushed it." And then it gets to draft day. It cuts to his dad, and his this part's so funny. Goes, "Yeah," and Johnny slips because teams did their homework.
Oh,
But there was.
He also had the 4th string quarterback take his P test in college.
Yep.
you know, it's funny you mentioned that, guys, because I started watching Euphoria this weekend, and Zendaya is the main character, and she's just got out of rehab, and there's multiple times where when she goes to her house, her mom has to make her take a drug test to see if she's clean or not, and she uses a friend sample. She knocks on the door before and says, "Hey, Alexis, can you do something for me?" "Yeah, what's that?" "Can you pee in this cup so I don't get in trouble when I go home from my mom?"
I will say Johnny is smarter than that one guy that just got caught. That got drug tested and came back as he was pregnant. Because he used his girlfriend's. He used his like. I don't know if it was a girlfriend or friend or whatever. Yeah, took a drug test, used her urine. She was pregnant.
Oh my.
But
Incredible.
That's fantastic. Was that the dude who got cut by the Rams on Hard Knocks a couple years ago?
it might have been.
Oh, because I saw a video on Facebook or somewhere today that he said this guy's girlfriend ruined his career, and who knows, it could be that guy where he took his girlfriend's urine and tried to use it as a drug test and failed miserably.
Yeah. But
Just incredible.
It was. And well, because there was some talk on 2 of the 3 people on this podcast, two-thirds of their NFL teams there were talks about him getting drafted to either the Vikings or the Cowboys. And we go back to the 2014 draft, which is when it happened. The Vikings choose Anthony Barr. Now, Ethan, were you holding out any hope? Did you want Johnny Football?
Absolutely not. No, I said nothing. I wanted nothing to do with him.
Okay.
Cody Magnuson did,
enough.
but we were watching it, and he was so pissed they weren't taking him, and I was praying to God they didn't do it.
I think I've told you guys this story, but I know I told Grant this because Grant's already smirking. He knows which one I'm talking about.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
So we were all. It was my freshman year. We were in the dorm, and it was kind of towards the end of the year where people were kind of moving stuff. So we didn't. Nobody on my floor had a TV except like one person. So we all move into the study room, hook up the cable and everything. We're watching it, and it gets to the Vikings, and Johnny Football is not taken yet, and everybody watching with a couple of Vikings fans. They're getting like, "Oh yeah, we're getting him," and Goodell comes out, and with was it the 9th pick or something the Vikings had that year?
9th or 8th, yeah.
And Vikings take Anthony Barr. The one guy chucks his hat at the TV and just screams at the top of his lungs, "Fuck you, Spielman!"
So good.
And I was somebody that I was like, yeah, I kind of want Johnny. Romo, I was sick of the interceptions. It was he was getting older. The year before he missed week 17 because he had back surgery, so wasn't able to play in that week 17 winner go home of what was 3 straight very painful years of where they had the playoffs in their grasp and blew it. And then we just had Kyle Orton throw a late interception. And so I was thinking, yeah, you know what? They got Romo's getting up there in age. They got to draft his replacement. Johnny's a Texas kid, grew up a Cowboys fan. This is going to be perfect. I loved watching the guy in college. And then they take Zach Martin. Right away, I was a little bit disappointed. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, they need line help. Turns out Zach Martin and what ended up being the right pick. And I'm glad he is a Cowboy. It was the right pick. It wasn't even Jerry. Jerry was the one that wanted him. And then Steven said, "No, Dad, we're going to take somebody that can help us now, and he's not worth the risk." Steven did his homework. Jerry didn't. And I guess Jerry told him that you're never going to get far if you don't take risks like Johnny Football. Take a risk on a guy like Johnny Football. Well, you were wrong, Dad. Not very often can you say dads are wrong, but this time, Dad was wrong.
Jerry did about as much homework as Manziel did homework on his iPad. So he did 0, yeah. Grant, if you didn't see that.
I've heard that.
On this. Yeah, they cut to his agent, and he talks about how he's like, yeah, the GM of the team, the head coach, called me and said that Johnny, he watched 0. No, he's got to watch some. No, we can track how many hours he's watched. He's watched 0. They cut to Johnny, and it's just him holding up a 0 of the amount of film he watched in college.
He literally was just like, fuck it.
Yeah. But
that's incredible.
So at some point, Grant, you're going to have to watch it because
it was really good.
It was. It was sad to see because it's sad to see anybody get to that point. But it seems like I don't know if he is because he's still the opening scene is him with his buddies and they're out drinking, which I guess if he's able to handle it, he's able to handle it. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And then we got another one to review here in a couple of weeks. Swamp Kings is going to be out. But we can stay in the football realm because we've got one more segment to get to before we get to Curveball of the Week, which Ethan has. Hopefully you didn't forget, Ethan.
I got something.
Oh boy. That sounds like it's gonna get litty titty.
No titties tonight.
No titty, okay. Damn, not mad, just disappointed. But Grant, do you have any training camp stories you would like to tell?
Yeah, I got a couple more here, guys. So
Only one.
no,
One per week.
I got a couple.
He's been doing 2.
I got a couple here.
So this is I think this might be our last one. So we got to end with a bang.
So the first one here, we're gonna go to summer of 2011, and that was the lockout year. Well, right when the season just they signed the CBA and the Players Association and the owners got it all figured out. Teams were able to report to training camp right away. But since when they opened up camp, down in Mankato, the Vikings, made that trade for Donovan McNabb. Well, since McNabb didn't sign his contract right away, or it took 2 or 3 business days, he wasn't allowed to actually practice with the Vikings at MSU, on Blakesley and all those practice fields. So one day we're down at high school, we're down at West, and we see this very big man with a really strong arm throw into a receiver in the end zone. And we're like, what the heck is going on here? So we go down to the field, and who's working out? It's Donovan McNabb. Because we're 2 minutes away from MSU, and we had a football field, and someone on the Vikings maybe made a call, or they just said, oh yeah, we're going to go down to this high school field here. So I can't remember what receiver he was throwing to, but yeah,
Malcolm Jenkins or Michael Jenkins. Was it
Michael?
Michael
It was Michael
Jenkins?
Jenkins. Michael Jenkins.
Yep.
Oh, boom!
Yeah, it was Michael Jenkins, and they go, yeah, something with the league year that hasn't started yet. We can't practice with the team yet, so we're watching McNabb kind of throw to Jenkins, and I know he was at the tail end of his career, and Donovan's time with the Vikings was not good, but the man had an absolute cannon, the strongest arm I've ever seen. It was just crisp. And, when he came off that field, you could tell he was putting that work in because his whole body was covered in sweat. And he walks around and he goes, whew, fellas, now you see what it's like to be in the pros. And we were just kind of all starstruck, like, okay, yeah, this dude's a big deal. He played in the Super Bowl, went to a bunch of NFC title games, but just being able to see him, like, work out, like, right in front of me was really cool. You're not in the stands. He's not 2 fields away. They're not at one end zone. It was like, oh, Donovan's right here, and he's at Little Mankato West High School because of the lockout and the CBA wasn't signed yet.
Yeah, fuck you, Mankato East.
Yeah, don't forget Mankato West is the best. Forget the rest. So it was just kind of like, okay, this is what these guys look like, and he was, just built like an absolute brick shit house. But yeah, couldn't work out at MSU, so he had to come down to the old high school, and a bunch of us saw him spin it for a little bit there.
Nice.
So that was cool. And then another one here, Dad had it in Dan's book, the love vote scandal. I think it's time. It's only fair that I bring up Mr. Fred Smoot. It was the summer after. It was the big Saturday night practice at Blakesley. The defensive backs are on the side of the field that we're on, and these two beautiful women, they walked by, and you could clearly tell they were looking to meet up with someone and get picked up and have a good Saturday night. And some bystander, some fan, maybe about 10 rows behind me or something, he sees these 2 really beautiful women, and he goes, hey, Smoot, what do you think about these 2? Smoot turns around and just gives him a thumbs up like, they'll do, baby.
And they were later on the Love Boat that season?
Well, it was the year after the Love Boat.
Oh,
Dylan,
gotcha.
That's what made it so funny. We had the Love Boat in 05, and then this was the summer of 06. Hey, Smoot, what about these 2? He turns around, takes a look at them, and just, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Awesome.
And dude, I'm pretty sure those girls, they went to the north end zone when the Vikings left practice there, like Blakesley to walk across the street and shower. I'm sure they looked at Smoot or one of them players and had a night. That's all I'll say.
Are you saying they were cleat chasers?
Oh yeah. And every year when the Vikings were in town, the STD percentage in Blue Earth County skyrocketed.
Wonder why.
Is that what pre-COVID, that's what they would have as the health and safety report on the news. Yeah, syphilis is up 60% now.
Yeah. Are there a bunch of koala bears in Mankato? Because the chlamydia cases are through the roof.
Oh, yikes.
But yeah, it was kind of just seeing McNabb work as a pro, the intensity and the pace that they'd have with Michael Jenkins, how crisp his passes were. You know, these guys, they take it serious, and it was cool. But yeah, and then with Smoot, that guy, just not a care in the world, and Smoot like, yeah, I know what happened, and he goes, yeah, they'll work for me. These two honeys will work for me.
What?
Lord.
He just got brought up. He just got like arrested or something. I saw.
And
didn't
that's
he?
what reminded me of the story.
Yeah.
Because I saw he got arrested.
That is quite the criminal secondary. Because Darren Sharper was there at that time as well, wasn't he?
Probably right around there,
I don't know if
maybe
he
a
was
little
there
after.
yet. It was real close. Was real close to that.
Maybe
time.
it was a
Darren
year before,
Sharper
but they
was
were
there.
definitely
Yeah.
in the same defensive backfield together.
Oh yes, they were.
Yep. And before this takes a turn for the worst here, we will kick it over to Ethan for Curveball of the Week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of getting hard to come up with things. We've talked about such random shit. But what? So I'm trying to think how I want to word this. What instrument would you want to play? But if you already play one or know how to play one, you can't choose that one.
Oh, well, so I've played 2 instruments in my life, and I don't think I would remember how to play them. So does that count, or do I have to have a completely different?
That's fair. That's because that's my answer. So that's fair.
Okay.
So I'm with Dylan. When I was younger, I played the trumpet and the tuba.
And the skin flute?
Grant playing the tuba just makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, just a short fact.
Are there any pictures of you playing the tuba?
Did you ever
Carol and
adopt
Mary
it,
have
Jim?
to have one. I want to see. I need to see this.
I'm
This is
sure
what
there's-
the world needs to see this picture.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we're gonna
there's.
ask these
I'm
three.
sure Mary's got something in the archives. Buried from 15 years ago with me playing the tuba. Probably like in that episode of Family Guy when Stewie followed the fat guy. I follow fat people around for money. Burr, 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 burr. So if I can't play one of them, I'd
No, you
probably.
can.
Oh, I can. Well, I wouldn't want to anyway. I'd want to try to
Okay.
learn to play the saxophone.
Mm,
Something with
jazzy.
just a dude ripping the saxophone. I mean, it's just something sexy about that, if you ask me. You get a nice saxophone solo going. It's like this guy fucks. He knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So give me the saxophone.
Okay, fair answer. You want me to go, Dylan, or are you still thinking?
No, I will go. So I played the trumpet in band, and this is actually a bit of a funny story. Is we would in band, I think I'm past the statute of limitations before
It's been 6 years. You're
to
fine.
it's been longer than 6 years. It's been what I did played it for 1 year in 5th grade. And so I think I'm past the statute of limitations here, but it would always be you always had to record how many minutes you played, and at the end of each month, whoever had the most minutes would win something from the music teacher. And one of the guys that was also playing trumpet talked about how I just write my stuff down. So I figured, you know what? For a week, I just decided that's what I'm gonna do. I'm home I would walk home from school. I would say I practiced for 15 minutes. Good to go. And then one day, my mom calls me. She's like, "Hey, did you how did practice go?" I'm like, "It went fine. What'd you use? My trumpet? How did you practice when it wasn't here? When it's with me in my classroom?" Oh shit. Cut. Damn it. So 1 week. I did that 1 week, one time, and I get caught. That is my luck. But I would not play trumpet. I also played guitar. I don't think I could play guitar. I know I could not play guitar now. But if I had to choose, coming back from Nashville and all, I would definitely say I would love to learn how to play a guitar again.
Okay. It's a good
Fair.
one. I grew up playing the drums, and then that was through freshman year of high school. But then before that, you had to do. It's so stupid. You had to play the piano before you could get into the drums. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me.
That was our rule too. That's why I couldn't.
Was it like
play drums.
Was it like
sense.
2 years of piano?
2
or
years of
something
piano.
Before? Percussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I played.
I think what it was because I bet you there were so many people that wanted to play drums that they had to limit it.
Could be.
Because no matter how dumb we thought our teachers were, they were definitely a lot smarter than us.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I played piano for probably 3 to 4 years, I bet. But if I had to play again, it'd be that. Definitely. I wanted to reteach myself. And there's so many apps now you could do it on your phone. So freaking easy.
So now we can circle back to this conversation. Since Ethan played the piano, it's only fitting at his hypothetical wedding that we end the night with Piano Man.
Yes! Love it!
More than fair. Just make sure you wear underwear.
Song, you're the piano man.
I don't want to see that.
No, I don't even want to see
There
that.
ain't nothing to see, though.
Yeah, for you, Dylan, yes. I'm talking more Grant.
So if Ethan played the piano, I think it's only fair that we play Piano Man at the end of his wedding.
God, maybe I could
It
play
is.
it at my wedding.
Ooh.
Oh,
There. Yeah.
now we
gosh.
have a reason to learn.
Yes, we do. Look, could you imagine Ethan drinking some wine, playing a little Billy Joel?
God.
With his
I'm getting
pinky
hard
up,
to
he's-
stop.
Dude, if that wouldn't turn Hannah on, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
I forgot she's right there.
No, she's in the bathroom, so maybe she didn't hear it. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll find out here
I
soon.
think
She'll come around the corner and
piano
she'll
would
play.
actually be another one that I'd want to learn to play too.
Piano's fun.
Go back to the Charlie Harper. That guy.
Guys, even
That guy knew what he was doing.
I'd have
even
to
like
get like an electric one or something, though.
even last year, was it when at the Morgan Wallen concert when he sang "Sand in My Boots" and he was on the piano? I was like, okay, I did not know this guy who could play piano. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah. That's sick. Be cool. He plays guitar, piano. Who knows what else he can play?
It's like Kid Rock. He can play every instrument in his band.
That's impressive.
Well, and
That is.
Ed Sheeran is a one-man band.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does that.
That's impressive.
He's very
Yeah.
talented. He's a lot more talented than us. You guys could have went and saw him last weekend.
Yeah,
Well,
nah.
he's from the UK, and for some reason, if you're from the UK, one, you're always ugly, but two, you are a hell of a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I
but
think he's from Ireland, which makes sense because he has red hair.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes a lot of sense.
Ireland, the UK, for whatever reason, that part of the world, they just make some musicians, man. It's crazy.
Let's see. Ed Sheeran. He is from Halifax, West Yorkshire, England.
Okay.
So maybe, apparently he's not from Ireland. I just figured since he had red hair, he's from Ireland, but I guess
with
I
the
was wrong.
red hair and the extreme whiteness.
Yeah. I bet you the sun is not his friend.
Something tells me he goes to tour in Florida in November.
He probably does. But with that, we will that wraps up episode 91 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. Go check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and not Twitter anymore, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. It says X on my phone. Still says Twitter though on my iPad because I don't think I've updated it yet. But Twitter, Instagram, X, TikTok at 3GTB Podcast. You can we'll be posting the shorter segments, clips of the show, and then you can also follow us along on Facebook and YouTube. Go subscribe there as well at Three Guys Talking Ball Podcast. And with that, episode 91 is a wrap. And next week we will be doing our NDSU preview with recurring guest, and the first time he's going to be with Grant and Ethan and myself. He asked, we delivered. He's Zach Willis is going to be joining the show, the owner of Big Deck Barbecue Company. So stay tuned for that. But we will talk to you next time.